Followers of Nurgle, rejoice, for the Death Guard Codex is finally here, and Grandfather Nurgle has decided to bless us all with the gifts of Nurgle. And in this review, we will take a look at the army rule and each of the detachments, from stratagems and enhancements, and some of the key combinations you may want to consider if you decide to run them. With renewed data sheets and new ways to run the faction, we shall review where the Codex stands competitively. So join us on this deep dive review of the Death Guard Codex.
The Death Guard Codex is finally here, and Michael, we have got the extreme pleasure of giving this Codex the full review. What's good, what's not, the hot takes, how to play Death Guard is all going to be coming up in this video. Michael, you've looked at all the data sheets, haven't you?
I have. I've done a deep dive into the data sheets, obviously with the help of our fantastic friends over the Disgustingly Resilient podcast, Aidan and Dave, and I've got a glimpse into the enormous amount of changes within this book, and I honestly think you need to look at this with a new pair of eyes, get those fly-blown eyes, look at this book, ignore all the past of what the Death Guard have been. This is a new, fresh, well, it's not very fresh, is it? But it's a new beginning for the army.
It certainly is. And a massive thank you for Games Workshop for sending us this copy along with the epic kind of Battle Force box, which has got the new character in. But ultimately, I've been taking a deep dive into the detachments. So together, we can combine our knowledge and give this codex the full review. So where should we start?
Well, let's start, of course, with the army rule for the Death Guard. One of the few things that hasn't changed, and this is their Nurgle's gift, right?
Yeah, that's it. So what's going to basically happen with this is, imagine you've got a model, and essentially what's going to happen is this kind of aura, this presence of just these inflictions are going to grow and grow as the game goes on. So 3 inches is that aura range from Battle Round 1.
Okay.
Then it moves up to 6 inches and then up to 9 inches. And any enemy units that find themselves under this aura from Death Guard models, not allies, it has to be a Death Guard model, is then under this affliction.
Okay, cool. And it's got like an actual term now, affliction.
That's it. And basically the afflictions are, there's one of 3 that you can choose from. Okay. And you choose this at your declaring battle formation stage.
Okay, and they're always going to have the one negative modifier, right? The toughness.
Yes.
But you can choose one of these superb other options.
That's it, yes. You can pick one of these 3. You've got, I won't try and butcher some of the names. Well, I will try and butcher them. You've got the Skull Squim Blight, Skull Squirm Blight even. You've got the Rattle Joint Org, and then you've also got the Scarbarous Soul Rot, okay? Now, what they basically mean is the first one is a -1 to hit. Anytime your enemy model makes an attack, they're -1 to hit. Now, I believe this used to be ballistic skill and weapon skill modifier before.
It was, yes. Yeah.
Now it's -1 to hit. So, if anything, that's a bit of a nerf to the Death Guard, because this won't then stack with things like, like popping smoke is a stratagem, or there was other units that gave you like -1 to hit.
Typhus.
Nurglings, all that kind of stuff was a -1 to hit. So they're not going to stack anymore, which not going to lie, is a good thing.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, it really is, because there's nothing worse going in. You're a Space Marine, you go flying in with your big Thunder Hammer, and you're like, what are you hitting on? 6s. You're like, cool, that's fun. So at least it's just that -1 now.
Yeah.
The next one is worsen the army save characteristics by 1. Okay, so if you're a Space Marine, you're like, cool, we've got this cool 3-up armor. Oh no, I'm in this Contagion range, or I've got an infliction. I've now got a 4-up save.
This is brutal.
Very powerful.
And as we go through the rest of this book and you learn more about the Death Guard, you'll really see how incredibly brutal this is as it stacks with all of these other ways to affect your opponent's characteristics.
This is the one that I think majority of Death Guard players are going to take. Unless obviously you're up against an army like Demons where you don't care. But for me, this is the one that I think you're just going to take.
Yep.
More often than not, and you'll see that as we go over the rest of it. And then the next one, which I think's had a bit of a buff since the index, you worsen the move, leadership, and objective control by models by 1.
Okay, interesting. So I guess in matchups where there's a lot of maybe OC2 models on the table, that this is a great nerf for them. Is there a restriction on how low that OC can get, or can we turn 1 to nothing?
This rule can only worsen a model's objective control to a minimum of 1.
Okay.
But, you know, those armies like Custodes, like an army that I play, you know, anything where they're really relying on, you know, those battle line units to help them in the game, to hold primary, that's going to be awful for them. Because, you know, some of the units in here, like the Plague Marines, are such great units. They've got good OC. It's going to be so easy to flip those objectives.
Absolutely. So if you don't need the save debuff, the OC and move is probably the one that you go to next.
Yeah.
Unless there's a significant reason why you'd want -1 to hit. There are plenty of different ways to get -1 to hit through stealth, smoke, and unit abilities. So maybe, I mean, we're going to see -1 to save a lot.
Yeah, we are. 100%. So that's the army rule. Now remember, all the Death Guard units get that. And then also you've got the way that you can then start to implement demons as well. Okay. So it says it's called the Pact of Decay. When mustering your army, unless specifically stated otherwise, you cannot select Plague Legion as your army faction. Okay. So there are ways though to join Plague units or Plague Demon units that are in here into your army as a detachment for that. Okay, so should we go for the first detachment?
Let's do it.
All right, so the first one is called Virulent Vectorium.
Cool. Good work.
Vectorium, something like that. Anyway, the detachment rule is called World Blight, and this is very similar to the Index. You have sticky objectives, so if you control an objective in your command phase, it remains under your control. So if you ever heard the term sticky objectives, that's what that means. And then also, that objective marker itself now counts as a Death Guard model once it's been stickied, as it were, and it's under your control. Until your opponent takes it off you, it then starts to create that aura of Nurgle's gift, so it can now start afflicting models. So, you know, it could go to 3 inches, then 6 inches, then 9 inches from these objective markers.
Okay, fantastic. You've got to make sure that you take it off them in order to remove that blight from the table.
Yeah. All right, enhancements. Obviously, in this book, there is 4 enhancements for each of the detachments, and there's obviously those 6 stratagems that you've kind of come to expect. I'll rattle through these very, very quickly, or give you, what should I give you, my standout ones, or just go from all?
Go through them all, and we'll talk about the standout one more.
All right, so the first one is Death Guard model only. It can have critical hits of 5s when it makes a melee attack. Who would this be good on?
Contagion.
Lord of Contagion?
Lord of Contagion.
Why is that?
So he gives the unit sustained hits 1, and he himself has lethal hits on his weapon. So he's essentially getting crit fires for his sustained and lethals on his own weapon at flat damage 3.
That's amazing.
Incredible.
Now, this is only him, though. Doesn't affect the unit, but great. And you'll see why that's even better later on. So Death Guard model only, add +1 strength, attack, and also you get devastating wounds.
I mean, again, Lord of Contagion or a Demon Prince.
Yeah.
Just buff the damage.
Mm-hmm. Really, really good. Death Guard model only, while a unit's within range of an objective marker, you can re-roll the wound roll. So when you're controlling that objective marker, you get re-roll wounds.
Okay, probably something that wants to go with the Plague Marines because they've got that higher OC.
Yeah. But
you could see this on Terminators to just improve their output a bit more.
Yeah, definitely. And then you've got the Death Guard model only again. You can have a 5+ feel no pain. Who are you putting this on?
Oh, Foot Demon Prince. You got a mini Mortarion going on, T12, lone op. Amazing.
You've already mentioned him a couple of times, the Demon Prince. Is he an auto include?
Oh, 100%.
What does he do for us?
So he's got lone op within 3 of infantry, but he also gives you a sort of aura of 12 where you can use a stratagem for 1 less on a unit per round. And there are plenty of incredibly good stratagems for this to be useful. In addition, he gives you the benefits of cover if you're within 6 of him.
So it's an aura of cheaper stratagems, aura of cover.
Yeah.
And what's not to like when you've got a 3-up or a 2-up save. So, yeah, I think he's an auto-include, and you definitely might chuck that on him if you've got the points left over, just to make sure he's sticking around that a little bit longer. Okay, so we've got 6 stratagems. The first one is on a Death Guard vehicle or monster. You can auto-explode it or deadly demise it. So you kill me, I then blow up, and then also in addition, any enemy units that suffer mortal wounds then count as being afflicted, okay, until the start of your next turn.
Okay, wow. So all of the vehicles, a lot of the demon engines for Death Guard are deadly demise D3.
Yeah.
So now you can be aggressive with these Blight Drones, the Blight Haulers, all of this stuff, and you can just do mortals to your opponent.
Yeah.
Not to mention Land Raider, Mortys obviously did deadly demise D6.
Yeah.
So if you do manage to take Morty down,
blow yourself up and then afflict the unit that's just done it to you.
Amazing.
Yep. Okay, so the next one is called Disgusting Resilient. Great podcast. You should definitely check them out on YouTube. Again, this is incredible. It's 2 CPs, -1 damage.
Okay.
Shooting or fight phase, any unit.
Oh my god. Okay.
That's so strong.
1 CP less with the Prince.
Yep. Crazy good.
Crazy good. I mean, when we start to look at some of the data sheets and the toughness values, we've got 3 wound models, we've got 4 wound models in there.
Yeah.
A world where there's damage 3, damage 2, it means nothing to us.
Let's quickly talk about that. Terminators now.
Yes.
Blight Lords, we never saw them in the past. Are we going to see them in this edition of the game?
100%.
Yeah.
Their output is much better.
They got a massive glow up on output. Their army rule, their data sheet rule. Why else?
Well, the T7 now.
Toughness 7 Terminators.
Eat that, Custodians Terminators.
They're like, hang on a minute, what's happened? I thought, no, we're not the toughest anymore. So, wow, toughness 7 Terminators. Okay, next stratagem. This is 2 CPs. It's command phase, your command phase, and you do this on your Warlord. You can increase the contagion range by 3 inches.
For the whole army?
So your Death Guard, until the start of your command phase, add 3 inches of models from your army. Yeah, so it is army-wide for 2 CPs.
Okay, so turn 2, this would be 9 inches.
And turn 3 onwards, it's
Turn
12.
3, 12. There is a character in here who has +3 base, the new model, in fact, the Lord of Poxes.
Yeah.
So he'd be a 12-inch aura of Afflicted in turn 2.
Yes.
Because he's got +3 innately, and then it's... oh, dear.
Yeah.
That's good.
And obviously what you could do is still deep strike a model down, for example, and then all of a sudden it's expanding from their position.
Yes, absolutely. Death Shroud, we mentioned Terminator, so Death Shroud, not only T7, etc., they also can now deep strike 6 inches away.
Yes.
Any time they deep strike.
Providing that they're within range of an afflicted unit, is that correct?
Yes, that's right. And this stratagem would be able to really help you with that as well. And then, of course, you drop in 6 inches away, fire all of your flamers exactly where you want with the Afflicted applied.
Yeah.
Yeah, this kind of makes up for the speed that the army normally lacks because you're already getting in that contagion range just by adding 3 to the aura.
Yes, it's good. It's really, really good. At first I thought, 2 CPs for just your Warlord, but actually army-wide, boom, that's a belter. Right, okay, cool. 1 CP, all right. Now, do you know who you could make your Warlord if you don't take Morty? Just take that Demon Prince, and he's like, I'm already here, I'm under my own order, it's 1 CP, whole army-wide, let's have extra 3 inches. Anyway, so Death Guard, your command phase now. 1 Death Guard model that has lost 1 or more wounds. Select enemy unit within 3 of a model. Roll D6 equal to the number of wounds your model is lost. For each 5+ that enemy unit suffers a mortal wound, up to 6 of them. So it's a little bit like a tank shock. Yes. But you only roll a dice for every single model wound that you've lost. Okay.
But there's more, right?
Select 1 enemy unit within 3 of your unit. Roll a d6 equal to the number of wounds your model has lost. For each 5+ that enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound. Oh, yes. This is the last sign since I've ignored this one. And you regain a lost wound as well.
Imagine, Morty, you managed to bring Mortarion down to a couple of wounds.
Yeah.
So you're going to roll 14 dice.
Yeah.
And each one's a mortal, and you heal.
Yeah. Wow.
Cool.
It is only up to a maximum of 6, but still. So the next stratagem is Overwhelming Generosity. It's 1 CP. Start of your shooting phase. 1 Death Guard character unit from your army. Select 1 enemy unit visible to your unit until the end of the phase. Each time a Death Guard unit from your army selects that enemy unit as the attack of a ranged weapon, you can re-roll the dice to basically determine how many attacks you get. So I pick my character that can see your unit.
There's no range. You just look at them.
Just look, hey, I see him over there. Now my whole army gets to re-roll all of the number of shots they get. So you could have like a Lord Virulence who basically gives you re-roll wounds against the target.
Yeah, and he also picks an enemy unit within 30 to buff the rest of your army too.
That's what I mean with the re-roll wounds. And you've got a Flamer on him, which is obviously in a random number of attacks. If he's with Death Shroud, that have also got a random number of attacks. What was the unit that, I think it was Aiden that spotted this from Deskis? Yeah.
Aiden spotted this, so there's a sort of a new data sheet, which is the Blight drone with the Blight launcher, the heavy Blight launcher.
Okay.
Which is strength 10 AP2, flat 3 damage.
Right.
D6 plus 2 shots. So you can have 3 of these shooting at 1 target that your character can see.
Are they models of 1?
Yeah, units of 1. And then they could be afflicted. And I mean, as we go through the data sheets, there's loads more combos you can do amidst the data sheet. Something could shoot first, trigger an extra AP, and so on and so forth. But that is that you're going to have some really strong fire bases that could do real hurt with this strat.
I mean, that is crazy good. We'll have to come back to that. That combo is, I think we're going to see all the time. Now, the next one is called Creeping Blight. Your shooting phase. Death Guard infantry unit, okay? Until the end of the phase, each time you make a ranged attack that you target an afflicted unit, you reroll the hit and the wound roll for 1 CP.
1 CP reroll hits and wounds?
Yeah.
Sure. Why not?
Yes. I've spotted something that I think would be disgusting.
Yes, you have, yeah.
For this unit specifically. Now, what you need is a Plague Marine unit. Give them all the best guns you possibly can. A 10-man team, okay? What you want to take is the Biologus Putrefier. So he gives your unit lethal hits on all of your ranged weapons, because basically all your combat units have it anyway, for the most part. You get lethal, and you always critical hit on a 5, not a 6.
Okay.
But you can also attach this model with another character. And if you put this with the Malignant Plaguecaster, he gives your unit sustained hits. So you can have sustained, lethal, on 5s, but the Plaguecaster himself is an absolute beast. He's D6 plus 3, and if you've already picked that unit to re-roll your number of shots, maybe you roll that 1, you're like, nah, I'm re-rolling that. Strength 6, AP 2, obviously reduce their save by 1. Mad. D3 damage.
Immense.
Crits on, I mean, obviously this one's a torrent, so you wouldn't get the sustained and the lethal, but still good as an output. Plus then obviously the unit getting sustained and lethal.
You get reroll wounds as well. I mean, the strat's incredible. Sustained crits on 5s, reroll hits,
-1 toughness.
-1 toughness, -1 save.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Strong.
Very strong.
Yeah, and of course, you know, it is the one saving grace that it is only shooting phase. It's not then the combat phase as well, because otherwise that could have been crazy, because the Lord of Contagion gives you sustained in melee.
Yes.
And if you put the Lord of Contagion with some Blight Lord Terminators,
got lethals.
They get lethal. So luckily that doesn't work, everybody. You'd be pleased to know. But just give him the demon weapon of Nurgle for those crits on 5s for himself, and he's good to go. All right, so the next attachment is Mortarions Hammer.
Okay.
All right, so at the start of the battle round, you select a number of enemy units, okay? More than 12 from your army. And if you're playing a Strike Force 2,000 point game, you pick 2 enemy units, or up to 2. Now they're afflicted.
Wow, so you can just say, you're afflicted and you're afflicted.
Yeah, if they're outside of 12. And obviously you still get the affliction range anyway.
Yes, if they're within 12, you probably just move into
affliction range. Yeah.
That sounds pretty great. I'm already thinking of 3 Playburst crawlers, because you just pick someone you can't see, fire 300 fire weapons at them.
Remember, it's start of the battle round as well, so it depends on who you're playing, and also, for example, like, who's got top of turn? Because you can't move into contagion range. Let's say you've got bottom of turn where you're going sort of second out of the 2 players, and they've got 2 really good, like, Riptides or something. You go, cool, -1 hit, -1 hit.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
That's great. That's really good.
You can all of a sudden, like, really neuter your enemy's output. Yeah. But if you're going first, you might go, cool, -1 save, -1 save.
Yeah, I mean, even the OC, right? If you're both on an objective marker, you could suddenly go, that's not yours anymore.
Exactly. Now, obviously, the one counter to that is that you do have to pick your afflictions at the declaring battle formations, which is before whether you're knowing you're going first or second. But you can take an educated guess, like, is this army one army that I want to press on, or is this an army that I need to limit its lethality coming into me? So you can kind of make that assumption based on, you know, your knowledge of your opponent's army and stuff. So that's pretty cool. Right, so enhancement-wise, Death Guard model only, ranged weapons equipped by the Met Bearers unit, ignore cover whilst targeting afflicted units.
Okay, yeah, it's not bad. Probably Blight Lord Terminators. I think a lot of the other ones have flamers anyway. So that's probably the only place you're looking at it.
Yeah.
But obviously they have a really cool rule, don't they?
What is the Blight Lord rule?
So if they're shooting someone who's afflicted, which obviously we're doing because we're getting ignores cover, then we're going to get an extra AP and strength on all of our ranged weapons.
Right. So we get extra strength, they're -1 toughness. So that's like a pip of 2 change, which will probably translate to +1 to wound for the most part.
Yeah, essentially.
You're ignoring cover. you're getting +1 AP. You could have also picked them to have -1 save. So this is very, very good.
It's very good.
So whatever their base AP is, even if it's AP 0, is effectively AP 2 ignores cover.
AP 2 ignores cover.
That's if they had 0 AP on their guns.
Yep.
Wow. Okay, cool. So whatever its name is, the Malignant Plaguecaster, at the start of your shooting phase and to the end of a phase, add 12 to the range of your Plague Wind.
Okay.
So you can obviously Plague Wind up to 24 inches.
Cool.
And that means then you can trigger his ability to then slow down your enemy unit, which is like remove 2 from their move or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Very nice.
So next one is the Shriek Worm Familiar, Death Guard only. You can Overwatch for free. Who would you put this on?
Oh, well, anything with lots of flamers. You could put this on your Death Shroud, or you could put this on your big unit of Plague Marines with the Plague Belchers and Spewers.
Yeah.
You've got some really good options.
Lord of Virulence, who's got a flamer with a bunch of Death Shroud with a bunch of flamers.
Yes.
Sounds like a good Overwatch option, doesn't it? Right, then the next one is called Tenderous Emissions, Lord of Virulence only. While a bear is within 3 or 1 or more Death Guard vehicle units, you get Lone Op. But also then, when you're shooting against an afflicted target, you can reroll the wound of 1. But you have to be visible, though, so you can't just, like, pick a, unit outside of 12 and then, like, bomb them with your indirect fire and get the rerolls. You still need to be able to see them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not bad. I mean, even a Lord of Virulence on their own, picking that target for the 30-inch range buff for the rest of the army is really good for this, because you can get that reroll 1s to wound, and obviously you can give people afflicted with the detachment rule.
Yeah.
So you're going to get the reroll 1s against something.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. It's really nice. Right, so 2 CP's Blighted Land. End of your movement phase, a Death Guard vehicle unit can select a terrain feature within 24. And then until the start of your next turn, all enemy units that are within 3 inches of that terrain feature are now afflicted.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I think this might be a first in 10th edition that we've seen rules around terrain features.
Yeah.
Because no terrain format is designed to account for a rule that now impacts actual terrain features. And here we have it. There are large ruins.
You have to see it, but
in the
whatever,
yeah, there are large ruins in the game of 40k.
Yeah.
That you could just do this and you're like, sick, your whole army is now
afflicted.
afflicted.
Yeah, -1 to hit everyone. Cool. Relentless Grind. Your movement phase or charge phase, a vehicle unit can just basically move or charge through terrain.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
This is the vehicle detachment. Kind of expected that.
Yeah. Next one is Drawn to Despair, your shooting phase. When Death Guard unit that has not been selected to shoot until the end of the phase, each time a model from your army makes a ranged attack against a visible enemy unit, your opponent's deployment zone, you reroll the hit.
Okay.
So you can basically go, right, you're still in your deployment zone, 1 CP, real hits.
Nice.
It's good.
Nice. Plague Burst Crawler.
Plague Burst Crawler, yeah. Make sure it's afflicted, make it -1 toughness, whatever, yeah. Take the save off a bit.
Yeah. So Plague Burst Crawlers, actually, they have this rule where if they hit an enemy unit, they do mortals in a sort of aura.
Right.
And the roll is more successful if they're afflicted.
Great.
So you can essentially pick enemy units within 3 inches of them and then just do mortals to all of it. So you really got to watch your deployment against this. So, is there a terrain piece?
Yeah.
Am I near my guys for this Plague Burst Crawler?
Unfortunately, you shouldn't have enough CPs to deal this turn 1. Yeah. You might if you are going second in the turn and you've got a Demon Prince nearby.
Yeah.
This is then possible because you can make Blighted Land 1 CP, Drawn to Despair 1 CP. You should have 2 CPs, and all of a sudden, your army's just dead. Font of Filth. Okay. Your shooting phase, Death Guard vehicle unit, you get Assault. So you can advance and shoot.
Lovely.
Bit of extra speed for you. Right, next one is command phase, Death Guard Death Guard vehicle unit again. Select 1 objective marker visible, and each afflicted unit within range of that objective marker must take a battle shock check. Each enemy units afflicted by this stratagem do not need to take any of the battle shock tests in the same phase. So you can, and I always remember it's your opponent's command phase. So, but you pick the 2 at the start of the battle round. So if you were going first and I was playing Death Guard, then if you're an objective, maybe it's a hold 1, hold 2, hold 3, or a hold more. My vehicle can just see you. I can go, cool, yeah, I'm going to pick that unit and that unit that are both on the objective. They both owe me now battle shock checks.
Great.
Because they're on that objective.
Yeah.
It's like a kind of mini version of the Tyrannid
Shadow in the Warp.
Shadow in the Warp. And we've all been stung by that now and again. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Is there anything that can affect leadership that you know of?
Yes, so you have some war gear items. So like Plague Marines have an Icon of Despair,
Okay.
which is a 6-inch aura of -1 leadership.
Okay.
So if you've got like Plague Marines nearby, then you could make this even more likely. And obviously they have 2 OC themselves. So if you even if you just battle shock the one unit,
Yeah, it might be enough to flip it.
It could be enough.
Yeah, or if you've gone for the whole remove an OC thing, that could also be pretty interesting as well. Okay, Stinking Mirror. Start of the opponent's charge phase. Basically, if you select this Death Guard vehicle, it's then -2 to the charge.
Cool.
Yeah, cool.
Try and charge me. How dare you?
Yeah.
Now,
Nice.
needless to say, there's a certain guy in this book
Yeah.
who can already impact your charges.
Oh, great.
His name is Mortarion,
Right.
and he does allow you to do reactive moves.
It does say this is not cumulative with any other negative modifiers to that charge roll.
That is good, at least.
That's something.
But you can reactive move 5 inches away if you're near Mortarion,
Yeah.
and then make the vehicle -2 to charge.
Yeah. Cool. That'd be fun.
Sick.
We'll get on to Mortarion later, because he's had some significant changes. Right, the Champions of Contagion. This is an extremely flexible detachment. The idea behind this, it's called Manifold... I don't even know why I tried to pronounce this. Maladies? Maladies, yeah. Manifold Maladies. At the start of the battle round, you can select one of the plagues listed in Nurgle's Gift until the end of the battle. Your chosen plague instead of any previous one. So basically, you just pick what you want.
That's really good.
Yeah. Super flexible, right? Turn 1, actually, I can't see anything. I want my opponent to be -1 to hit. Next turn, okay, they're out of cover. Let's go up for that extra, let's do a load of damage. Late game, okay, I want to stop them from holding objectives. Cool. Then, you've got loads of options, right?
Yeah.
Really, really interesting. So an enhancement here is I had to read this a few times, but the Biologus Putrefier. Once per battle, after you fall, if one or more character models were destroyed as a result of those attacks from your unit, until the end of the battle, while an enemy unit is afflicted, that unit has the effects of the selected plague. So you basically kill an enemy unit and character. You at that point pick a plague ability, and then anytime you get within that unit's range, you also have that as well. They're also afflicted.
Right, so I kill a unit, I pick, let's say, -1 move.
Yeah.
Anytime my opponent is within contained range of my unit that's killed that unit, for the rest of the game, they're -1 move in addition to whatever I've picked.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I can kind of see that being quite good on the -1 to hit, because then you know that if anybody tries to come and charge you, you're -1 to hit. Or if they get close to shoot you, they're -1 to hit. So I think that's always quite a good little option.
Yeah, not bad.
So next one is the Playcaster only. While an enemy unit is enfeebled by the Pestilent Fallout ability, you're also afflicted. So when you pick a unit to be -2 move, you then also become afflicted. So that's like a 12-inch gun when it uses its Plague Wind, or all of its guns are 12 inches. You pick a unit after you've shot, and then they become afflicted basically because of this.
Okay, very nice. Good for triggering other unit abilities that apply to afflicted units, like the Blightlord Terminators, as we've said.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's all right, isn't it?
It's all right.
The sequencing of that might be interesting, though, because you would afflict them in the shooting phase, but you'd have deep striked in the movement phase, so they wouldn't quite be afflicted at that stage, right? So the sequencing could be important for certain abilities, but not others.
Yes, absolutely. So you hit them with this, and then you will have hopefully set your Terminators, not the Death Shroud, sorry, the Blightlord ones, in order to get the AP and everything against the afflicted target.
Yes, sorry, I was my head straight. Wait, I was like, am I getting those Terminators in 6? Yeah, but yeah, 100%, yeah, that would work. And the next one is Plague Surgeon. You return up to D3 destroyed models, not just 1.
That's a really nice buff, because you could be bringing back D3 full-on Plague Marines.
Yep.
Which is OC up to OC6. So you could swing objectives, or just bring the models back.
Yeah, it's not to want, like about that. Next one is Cornucopia. Cornucopagus. Yeah, Lord of Poxes. When you're declaring your battle formations, until the end of the battle, while an enemy unit is within contagion range of the bearer, the enemy unit is the effect of the plague in addition to any others. So basically, you select a plague in your battle formation, and you're always under the effects of that. A little bit like the top one.
Okay.
So you can have lots of different things sort of going on, basically.
So you could essentially have 2 of these enhancements and have 2 units that are pretty much all the time -1 to be hit.
Yeah.
And you'll just go with the -1 save the vast majority of the time.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. So best stratagem in the book is here.
Okay.
Okay. 1 Death Guard attached unit. So obviously a character has to be joining this unit. Critical hits on 5s. Shooting or fight phase.
Oh my lord.
Yeah, oh my lord, indeed.
Oh my grandfather Nurgle.
Yeah. So sustained lethal, easily doable both in shooting and combat for most of the units in the game. So Lord of Contagion in combat. The Playcaster for shooting. We went about it earlier. Very, very strong.
Yeah. Wow.
Shooting or fight phase. Basically, if your opponent is, and this is obviously the combo, right? 2 CP, shooting or fight phase. Again, attached units. So it's all about having characters in it. Each time you make an attack that targets a unit below its starting strength. So that's just like 1 model dead.
Yeah.
Not half. It's just below. You can re-roll the hit and the wound roll for 2 CPs. Demon Prince nearby, 1 CP.
Wow.
It's a 2 CP combo, but you just nuke any unit, I think, in the game.
Absolutely. I mean, if you do happen to have Typhus in tow, you can do his mortal wound ability with his psychic in the shooting phase. Now they're below starting strength.
Yeah.
Now you can apply this combo.
And you said earlier, a Predator does what?
Increases your AP against a target they've shot.
So it acts a little bit like the Battle Sisters.
Castigator, yeah.
So I shoot a tank. Now, everybody else that targets that unit gets +1 AP.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully I kill a model.
Hopefully you kill a model.
And then you just do this combo, boom, unit dead.
Yeah. Have the Plaguecaster also shoot them to get them afflicted now, using that enhancement. Or just Plague Marines, they do it as well. If they shoot something, they just make it afflicted. So, I mean, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Right. Well, you're going to like this next one, Michael. Those Terminators, how was their toughness?
7.
What if I said, in any phase of the game, shooting or fight phase, you could add 2 to that? How would you feel?
I would say that should probably be 2 CP.
It's only 1, don't worry.
Okay,
so,
cool. Great.
Toughness 9 Terminators. Now, it does have to be an attached unit. So what's the toughness of a Plague Marine?
T6.
They're T6 now, so they had a bit of a glow up.
Yep. All of these guys are T6. All the characters leading them as well, obviously, are T6.
Do you know what? I've never been more excited to play Death Guard, actually.
T8 Plague Marines is horrific. Is it just infantry?
It's attached units.
Attached, right, okay, so it essentially is.
So it is essentially infantry, yeah.
Okay, that's horrific.
Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah.
Very nice.
What do Poxwalkers go up to?
Poxwalkers, let's see, shall we? 6 T6 Poxwalkers.
20 T6 Poxwalkers with a 5+ feel no pain. All right.
That sounds
I'll have a bit of that.
Stupid.
Right. You also like this next one. My favourite rule in the game. 2 Death Guard characters have to be in the unit.
Okay.
But for 1 CP, you can have fights first on the unit.
Okay. So it's mostly Plague Marines.
Yeah.
There is a way to get 2 leaders in a Poxwalker unit, because you can have Typhus and the Noxious Blightbringer, which is the guy with the bell.
Oh,
Makes them move faster. So you could actually have a full 20, obviously at T6 to make sure they survive, with Typhus and this guy.
I mean, Typhus fighting first is scary.
Yeah.
Let alone the 20 other guys. I couldn't care about them, but Typhus fighting first is baller for a CP. Right, okay. So this one is very situational. It essentially allows a character model to join another unit.
Oh, so if they've lost their unit.
That's it, yeah. So
they can
basically,
join,
maybe
yeah.
they've been destroyed, you want to join another unit. There's ways and means to do that, providing obviously you kind of end your move in coherency, and this happens before the reinforcement step.
Okay, cool. So you can't join someone that's just arrived from Deep Strike.
Yeah, you can't like move a model forward, Deep Strike down, then join, then you've only got like a... Well, imagine you could do it with Death Shroud. You could have like a 4-inch charge, but rather than a 6, because obviously 6 isn't big enough. So, yeah, you can... And it changed the starting strength, but that's how that works.
Yeah,
all right?
Very nice.
Next one is Death's Head. Okay, this is a Biologus Putrefier only. When you're not within engagement range... you can select a target within 8 inches invisible until the start of your next turn. That unit has the effects of all the plagues.
Okay.
Yeah. So
It's not bad.
basically like B-1 toughness, save, move, OC, -1 to hit for 1 CP.
Yeah, that is nice.
That's
That is
good.
nice.
Yeah.
I think the only limitation on this detachment is there are going to be plenty of games where 2 of the plagues are useless.
Yeah.
And you only really want 1. And that's, I guess, the main downside. But there's going to be so many situations where just that -1 to hit,
Yeah.
it's just nice to have.
Yeah, definitely.
But this seems like a very good detachment.
That's great. Really, really. I think it's just so, like I said, it's so versatile.
Yes, yeah.
I think this is probably one I would lean towards because I like armies. It reminds me a little bit of like the Army of Faith for Sisters. Like you got situational abilities, working off auras. I like it.
I like the lean on characters as well. I think there's some of the most iconic Death Guard models are some of those little characters.
Yeah.
And that really encourages it.
All right. Now, the Tallyband Summoners. This is where you can bring your demons into the fold. Okay. And essentially, when you've got your demons, you can take up to 1,000 points in a Strike Force game. When they're within 7 inches of your Death Guard models, they gain Nurgle's Gift. So they gain the, afflictions, right? Now, when the Death Guard, though, are within 7 inches of the demons, they extend their plague by 3.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so we're getting a lot of coverage for our plagues then.
So that new guy extends it by 3 already?
3 for himself, yeah.
So even from turn 1, he's got a 9-inch aura.
Yeah.
It's pretty big.
That's really good.
Yeah. Right, Beckoning Blight enhancement here. Basically, each time a Plague Legion from your army is set up on a battlefield using Deep Strike, it was within 12 inches of the bearer. It can be set up anywhere that is more than 6 from all enemy models instead of 9. So it's like, hey, I've just got this little Deep Strike banner, Deep Strike down within 6 of me, and I can still charge from this.
Okay, well, and who can this go on?
Well, any Plague Legion. So you can put this, you can put this on any Death Guard model.
Right.
Any Death Guard model can have this.
Great.
And then you can set up a demon wholly within 12 inches of him, and then it only has to be 6 inches away from the enemy.
Okay.
So you can have a Lord of Virulence with it.
With Death Shroud.
Yeah, or just by himself.
Or by himself.
Just by himself is fine, right?
Yeah.
He looks at a unit, gives stuff rerolls and things, and then he just goes, cool. Yeah.
So, hear me out.
Who'd you put down? Who's dropping?
Hear me out. Lord of Virulence with Death Shroud.
Yeah.
6 inches away from an afflicted unit.
Yeah.
So they can charge.
Yeah.
And then you also drop down some plague units. I mean, it could be Rotigus.
I think it's Rotigus in it.
It could be a Great and Clean one.
Yeah.
And oh my god, that is 2 6-inch charges from reserve. Horrific.
I'd still fail them, but most people would make them. Yeah. Anyway, so Death Guard model, add 2 to the attacks characteristics of the bearer's weapon. Good on anyone, really.
Yeah.
That's obviously got a good combat attack. Great and Clean one. In the battle shock step of your opponent's charge command phase, each enemy unit within 6 of the bearer that is below starting strength must take a battle shock check, subtracting 1. So there's a combo here, right?
Right.
Chuck this on a Great and Clean one, Deep Strike him down within 6, make the charge, and then as soon as you're in your opponent's command phase, everybody now, providing they're under, and if you had a few of the indirect things, you could just make loads of stuff under starting strength.
Yeah.
Battle shock everyone, basically.
Cool.
Yeah, great. Cool. So, Malignant Plague Caster. Each time a Plague Legion within 12 of the bearer takes a battle shock checks, add 1 to the test, and if the test is passed, 1 model on that unit regains up to D3 lost wounds.
Okay, so right.
And if it's battle line, you gain up to D3 models.
Okay, bit better then.
Yeah, so you can either heal your big guys or get back loads of little demons.
Okay.
It's all right.
Yeah, it's all right.
Not amazing, though. So, stratagem time, persistent pests, any phase. Nurgling's unit, once they've been destroyed, you can have a unit back. For 1 CP.
I'm so sick of 54 Nurglings.
Yeah.
Let's not put that.
You can have some more, mate.
No.
You can have another unit.
Please.
Every turn. It's not even once per game.
Does it bring a whole unit back?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it would be limited by the balance data slate, thankfully.
Oh,
yeah, thankfully.
Okay. So the balance data slate comes in and it is then...
once per game.
Ooh, thank goodness for that balance data slate. Right. Clutching Corruption. Fight phase. Death Guard unit that has not been selected to fight. Until the end of a phase, each time you make an attack that's within engagement range of your demon unit, you can reroll the hit roll. So your combo earlier, you said, Death Shroud go in now, after the 6-inch charge, and now they're getting rerolls to hit because big boys in there too.
Amazing. And we've mentioned the Biologist Putrefier for the Crit 5 lethals.
Ooh.
And the Malignant Plaguecaster, who's already encouraged a little bit with some of the enhancements. That unit can now just go in with Nurglings. It could just be Nurglings.
Yeah, just go in, yeah.
And you just smack
Does
stuff.
the Plaguecaster give you... Yeah, it's just always sustained. It's not even shooting.
Yeah, so
it's
you're
always sustained.
melee and shooting.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah.
That's really good, yeah. That's really good. You don't even need anyone to... Oh, yeah, the crits on 5s is nice as well, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so next one is All is Rot. You basically can shoot into a unit that's got demons in.
Okay, in combat.
Yeah, so it's like you don't really care that your plague demons are in combat. You just shoot anyway.
Nice.
But then after that, you roll a number of dice, and on 5s, your unit takes some more wounds.
So Nurglings.
Yeah.
You just throw a bunch of Nurglings in your opponent's face.
Jam them up.
Keep shooting.
Yeah. Yeah. It just means you can't like charge into Nurglings and then go, cool, well, what are you going to do? Fall back or whatever? Yeah. Cool. You can't jam them up. Anyway, fleshy... Oh, or something. Some sort of fleshy stratagem. Your movement or charge phase. 1 Plague Legion monster from your army. You can basically move through or charge through terrain.
That is incredibly helpful.
Yes.
Because they are on the biggest pie plate of all bases.
They are.
Yeah. Nice.
Move through walls. Right. Avatars of Decay. Your shooting phase of Plague Legion from unit your army. 1 Plague Legion unit until the end of the phase. While an enemy unit is within 6, that enemy unit is afflicted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice. So you just spread the contagion using your Plague Legion units.
Yeah. I mean, you could just like, the Nurglings still infiltrate?
Yeah.
So you just advance them forwards.
Big old line of 9. Run forward.
And then, hey, everybody, -1. -1 save. That is the, and obviously toughness. That's the only real thing that it works on because it does stop working at the end of the phase. Last stratagem is called Mire Slick. 1 CP, excluding monsters and vehicles. You can pick your demon unit when they're selected to fall back. Okay? They have to take a leadership check. If they fail it, they have to remain stationary.
Oh, wow. So you can force people to stay in combat with your demon unit.
Yeah.
Any demon unit.
Yeah.
Nurglings.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You just can't do it on monsters and vehicles.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Next detachment, Michael. Your favourite Poxwalkers.
Oh, I do love me a Poxwalker.
Shamblerot Vectorium. It's called the Numberless Horde, okay? In your command phase, and it's listed like a load of battle rounds. In a Strike Force game, from turn 2 and 3 and 4, you can add 10 new Poxwalkers to strategic reserves.
Great.
So you basically get 3 units of Poxwalkers of 10 for free.
You know what? They're OC1.
Yeah.
Free card scoring opportunities.
Yeah. Easy.
They also infiltrate, I've just noticed.
Yeah, I mean, from Strike Force, 2 onwards.
Yeah.
Just have 30 extra models, basically, for free.
For free?
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so this detachment, I think, could be a very good teams list, where you can really start to pick your matchups, bit of a stack check type of army. So what do Nurgle, these little Poxwalkers do, mate? What's their thing?
Okay, so their thing is essentially if they kill something, or if Typhus is in the unit and his psychic ability kills something, you can bring back models to the unit.
Up to your starting strength?
Up to your starting strength, yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't work against monsters and vehicles, obviously, because they're a bit big. But other than that, they're just T4, Feeling a Pain 5 up.
Mm-hmm.
Just annoying to get rid of.
All right, so Noxus Bright Bling only. While it's leading a Poxwalker unit, add 1 to the OC.
OC2.
And you get +1 to your battle shock and leadership checks. Death Guard model, if you're leading a Poxwalker unit and your strategic reserves, you actually count the turn it's battle round 3 onwards.
Nice.
So you can set up turn 1, even in your opponent's deployment zone.
Wow, okay.
So that's really good for obviously scoring cards, isn't it? Sorrow Siphon, Plaguecaster. While you're leading Poxwalkers, add 1 to the damage of the Plague Wind. And then basically after you've attacked, you basically resolve this stuff. D3 models are destroyed. So you basically eat a few of your Poxwalkers and have an extra damage on your Plague Wind.
Nice.
Talisman of Beguiling. Beginning. Some sort of talisman enhancement. Death Guard model. While you're leading a unit, add 1 to the toughness of Poxwalkers. So a toughness 5 unit of Poxwalkers. It's pretty good.
That is very good.
Right. Are you ready for this? 1 CP. If you are in combat with my Poxwalkers and you kill me, I roll a dice. And for every 6, you take a mortal wound. And I can actually use this, if you lose models, to regrow models back.
Okay.
Yeah. Gift of the grip of the walking pox. Smeared by filth. Fight phase. 1 pox walking unit from your army that was just destroyed. You can target the unit that was destroyed. Select 1 enemy unit that made 1 or more attacks against the target unit until the end of the battle. They're afflicted.
Okay, so you kill one of my Poxwalker units, you're just going to be afflicted the whole game.
Yeah, that's annoying, isn't it?
That's very annoying.
Some sort of hunger. You've got command phase 1 Poxwalker unit. Add 1 to the move characteristics, strength, and attacks.
Okay.
So this makes Typhus an absolute weapon because he's in the unit, and obviously you can select the Poxwalker unit, can't you?
Yep.
So they go up to movement what?
So they're move 5 base. So
Yeah.
it'd be movement 6. If you've got the Bell guy, the Noxious Blightbringer, it's movement 7.
Okay.
And you could have Typhus in there as well, obviously.
Yeah.
Attacks wise, they go to 3 each.
Right.
Hitting on 5, strength 3, AP 0, 1 damage.
Sure.
But they do have lethal hits.
Okay. But Typhus just becomes an absolute weapon.
Typhus is a weapon. The Plaguecaster can join these to give them sustained against an afflicted enemy as well.
Okay.
So you could get a lot of attacks with this.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Yeah. So different options there. You can't have the Plaguecaster and Typhus, can you?
Sadly not.
Just one or the other. Yeah. Okay. Hidden amongst the dead. Your reinforcement of movement phase. 1 Poxwalker unit from your army that's in strategic reserve that is not an attached unit. You can have the Deep Strike ability. So that three units you were getting, give them Deep Strike for a CP, come in hot, do an action or something. Right, your charge phase, just after a Death Guard unit from your army ends a charge. Each enemy unit within engagement range of that unit must take a battle shock check, subtracting 1 from the result.
Nice, okay.
Battle shock maybe some people.
Yeah.
Not incredible, but this is okay.
It's not a guaranteed result, is it? See?
Right, now this one is mad.
Okay.
It's 1 CP. I've got 20 Poxwalkers. Just imagine that.
Okay.
A unit of 20, Michael.
Verily imagine that.
And then behind that, I got 10 Blightlord Terminators.
Okay.
And you're like, right, I know they're toughness 7, but I think I've got the guns to get through these. And I'm like, cool. 1 CP. You got to kill all my plagues first.
Cool.
Now, how you do that is you just do damage. So you roll a hit, roll a wound. You don't get any saving throws.
Right.
But for the damage, for the amount of damage that's caused, you just lose Poxwalker models.
Okay, so no feel of pain or anything.
No. So if you did like a 6 damage attack, I'd lose 6 Poxwalkers.
Right, okay. You just got a hit and wound.
Yeah, you got a hit and wound, yeah. Yeah. But remember, and they have to be an eligible target as well. So, yeah.
That's
and
great.
within 3 of each other. So there are some limitations, but you actually have to do 20 damage worth before you can even scratch the unit you want to fight.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
That's great. And, obviously you can choose the timing of this.
Yeah.
So if I fire the first unit that has more guns of less impact into the Terminators, you'll be like, yeah, sure, you can shoot that.
Yeah.
And then the next unit goes, and you're like, no, you're going to have to kill these now.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Like the kind of, I'm going to shoot my bolt guns. Yeah, I'll take this on the Terminators, I think. Yeah, no problem. Oh, you did nothing. Cool. Because everybody's getting cover saves from the Demon Prince or something. I don't know. Right, cool. Next up, we've got Deathlords Chosen. Now, this, Michael, is all about Terminators.
Oh, I can't wait.
All the stratagems work off basically Terminators. So in your command phase, Michael, in my opponent's command phase, roll 2d6 for each afflicted unit, subtracting 1 from the result if that unit is below half strength. If the result is 6 or less, you suffer d3 mortal wounds. All right?
Sure.
Cool. So that's the army rule. I think that's one of those you kind of need to see it and play to see how effective it is.
Yeah, off the face of it, obviously turn 1 it's not happening, or at least it doesn't feel like it's going to happen.
Yeah.
The ways to kick out afflicted can be limited.
Yeah.
Obviously Plague Marines need to kick it out, but they're not Terminators.
No.
So
But no, remember, when does the affliction end from a Plague Marine?
Start your next turn.
Right. So how you do the order here then is you move out 3 units of plagues, shoot, afflicted, afflicted, afflicted. Now it's your turn.
Yes.
D3 mortal wounds, D3 mortal wounds, D3 mortal wounds. If you have obviously rolled a 6 or less on 2 dice.
Yeah. Interestingly, when Mortarion gets into the fray as well, whenever he ends a move, does mortal wounds.
Right.
As well. So you're starting to now rack up mortal wounds against these afflicted enemies.
Yeah. You don't have to just take Terminators, but all the strats work off Terminators. Right. So Face of Death, Terminate model at the start of the fight phase. Each enemy unit must take a battle shock check.
Okay.
Next enhancement is Terminate model. While you're leading unit, add 1 to the movement characteristics. And if you roll an advance, and you can reroll the advance roll.
Lovely.
So it's faster Terminators. Once per battle, end of your opponent's turn, you've got basically uppy downy where you can leave the table, come back on.
Great.
Who would you put this on?
Well, I mean, a unit of Flamer Terminators.
Death Shroud dudes, maybe?
Yeah, Death Shroud.
Drop down within 6 again. Make another 6-inch charge, yeah, great. Helm of Fly King. While you're leading a unit, you can't be targeted unless the attacker model's within 18 inches.
Wow, so you got like the Lord of Pox's ability, but on a Terminator unit.
Right, and that's what the Lord Pox does now.
Yeah, so you can't target his unit unless you're within 18 inches. But obviously with the Terminators now, you can have the same thing.
Yeah, nice. It's pretty good, isn't it? Right, okay, cool. So we've got stratagems. Start of any phase, add 3 to your Contagion range. On a Terminator. These are all Terminator units, okay?
Yep.
Next one is fight phase. You can reroll the hit, excluding monsters or vehicles.
Okay.
That's good. It's going to work really nice with that. Obviously, Lord of Contagion was sustained. Fight phase, just after you've selected your targets, you can fight on death on a 4+.
Okay, nice.
Signal Pox, you can do this on the Lord of Virulence. And basically, in your command phase, select 1 objective marker within 30 and visible to your model until the start of your next turn. Whilst an enemy unit's within range of that, you're afflicted.
Okay.
Yeah, now obviously this is command phase, but it's 1 Lord of Virulence from your army. So I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, you can pick a Lord of Virulence that would be in Deep Strike.
You could, yes.
Drop him down, pick a objective. Everybody that is now afflicted, who is on that objective, and it's until the start of your next turn. So that means then when it's your opponent's turn, your opponent would have to take the D3 mortal thing on every single unit that's on that objective.
Right. Do you have to pick the objective when you pick the Lord of Virulence?
So yes, 1 Lord of Virulence model from your army, select 1 objective marker within 30 invisible to your model. So you'd have to be on the battle first.
Yeah.
Then you do it.
Yes.
Right, okay, cool. So you can't drop in and do it. The sequence is you have to be on the table, obviously, because you pick it at the point which you can see.
Yeah. But you could ingress. You've got lots of different ways.
You could ingress the turn before.
Yes.
Yeah, and then you could have the line of sight on it. Yeah.
And then we've got the other Contagion range
And it's within
increase
30
as well.
inches. So that's, to be quite honest, that's any midfield objective.
Yeah, it is.
Step out from terrain. Yeah, and you're good to go, aren't you, really? Okay, cool. So Mortarions teaching. Your shooting phase, Terminator unit basically gains assault in heavy. So you can advance and shoot or get +1 to hit, obviously, depending on if you remain stationary.
Okay.
Sickening impact. You make a charge and you roll a dice, and on for a 2+, you take a mortal wound, up to 6 mortal wounds. So it's like a sort of crushing charge.
10 Blight Lord Terminators.
Yeah.
6 more wounds, guaranteed.
You have to roll 1d6 for each normal unit that's within engagement range. So you might be impacted by bases and all the rest of it. But yeah, still a good chunk of mortal wounds, right?
Yeah, nice.
And that's that detachment.
Okay, fantastic. I mean, Terminator is obviously very good, and this is another very stat check sort of. And obviously, what we mean by stat check is that you've got a lot of bodies of a specific defensive profile type that your opponent simply doesn't have the output to deal with it. And that many toughness 7, 3 wound, 4 wound bodies is
huge.
Absolutely massive. So I think it's worth talking a little bit about Mortarion, Michael. So we have a little bit of a dive into the units. Any big changes from Mortarion?
Well,
Where'd you start?
Well, let's not worry too much about the characteristics. They're pretty much the same.
Okay.
And his weapon profiles are pretty similar as well. But he does have the Lord of the Death Guard ability.
Did he always have devastating wounds?
I think so.
Well, if he didn't, he does now, and he's also D6 plus 1 damage.
Yeah, nice.
He's 5 attacks, lethal hits, devastating wounds. I mean, lethal and devastating wounds isn't the best combo, obviously, together. But hey, you're still AP3. It may as well be dev wounds.
His sweep's good as well, though.
Yep.
Sustained hits.
Lethal. Yeah. And he's good. His lethal is his sweep is 15 attacks. Obviously, it's on a 2 strength 8 AP 2 damage. Yeah, that's good.
The toughness reduction is massive here because strength 8 now wounds any toughness 5 base profile on 2s.
Yeah.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah, that's really good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it says, well, the Lord of the Death Guard. What does that do?
Okay, so once per turn, this model can use one of the Lord of the Death Guard abilities. So unlike any other Primarch in the game, this guy just does it once per turn. He just picks one of these abilities when that trigger happens. So the first one is Diseased Influence. So just after an enemy unit ends a normal, advance, or fallback move within 9 inches of a friendly Death Guard unit that is itself within 6 of Mortarion, you can reactive move that unit, provided it's not in engagement range, up to 5 inches.
Now, obviously, Mortarion is himself, so he could also reactive move up to 5 inches.
Yes. You could get in a transport with this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of...
So you move behind terrain, set up a move block,
Heroic
intervention, loads of good things there. So I'm not going to lie, I originally read this, it was an aura, but luckily it is a once per turn ability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what's great is you don't have to preemptively pick these abilities. You just pick them when they come up.
That's actually really good. Yeah.
And it's just like...
When
cool.
do you need it?
Whenever you need it. And if they don't move within 9 because they know you're going to do this,
yeah,
that's great. You've got other options.
Now, the next one, Michael, the Boon of Death. What does that do?
So, fight phase, when a friendly Death Guard unit within 6 is selected as the target of attacks, you essentially give that unit fight on death on a 2+.
Gross.
So you're like, okay, cool. You know what? I'm not going to reactive move. You can charge my unit.
I'm fight on death.
I'm going to fight on death on a 2+.
Yeah, nice.
Cool.
Okay. Inflamed Reprisal.
So in your opponent's shooting phase, you can pick a Death Guard unit within 6 inches that was targeted with shooting attacks, and then after the enemy unit's finished shooting, your Death Guard unit can immediately shoot back at that unit that shot them, as if it were your shooting phase.
Ooh. Now, obviously, these are once per turn abilities, so you could effectively do the shoot thing in your opponent's turn, then you could charge in 2 units knowing that your opponent might interrupt somewhere, and you can go, cool, fight on death there, because it's a different turn now. So the fight on death is the only one that you could use essentially a second time.
Yeah.
Because of, obviously, a turn is, there's 2 turns in a battle round.
Yeah.
All right. Typhus, has he had any changes? -1 to hit for the unit he joins, which is always good.
Toughness 7, I guess.
Okay, yeah, T7. Yeah.
Just makes him even harder to deal with. His psychic ability hasn't really changed. I assume they're probably going to bring in the rider where he can't target lone operatives.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah,
okay.
He's not really changed.
Demon Prince and Nurgle, we already spoke about him. Lone op, gives cover, reduces CPs. I think he's an absolute auto-include.
T12.
Wow.
T12.
That's very good. Lord of Virulence, let's have a look at him, because I don't think we need to talk too much about the Demon Prince with wings.
No.
Lord of Virulence, though, when he's leading a unit, that unit with its ranged attacks rerolls the wound roll.
That's right.
And then what's the other one?
So Blight Bombardment. Start your shooting phase. You pick an enemy unit within 30 inches.
Yeah.
And that is visible to this guy. Now, any friendly Death Guard models that target that enemy unit reroll hit rolls of 1. If it's a blast weapon, they reroll all hit rolls.
That's good.
This is, it's immense. Like you could have your the plague, the blight drones we talked about with the heavy blight launchers, really good. We'll cover them in a bit. But also you have the blight haulers, shooting their indirect weapons, their blast, reroll hits.
Yeah,
glorious.
Yeah, wow. Okay, Lord of Poxes, he's the new character. We spoke about it earlier. 3 to the contagion range, and you can't shoot him within 18 inches. He's not bad in combat, is he?
He's probably one of the best Death Guard guys in combat.
Yeah. Great Plague Blade, devastating wounds, and lethal hits.
Yeah, and remember, every time you look at the strength of a Death Guard model, you've got to remember that it impacts the -1 toughness as well. So strength 8 now. He's winning all Terminators on 2s.
Yes. No, you're right. Yeah. It's Yeah, it's like he's. No, it's even better than strength.
Yeah.
It's better than having +1 strength because it kind of doubles the. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Whew, okay, Lord of Contagion. He gives you sustained and lance. I thought it was just sustained in combat.
They thought, why not give him lance as well? Not only your opponent's -1 toughness, but you're going to have +1 a wound against them too.
And then he stands back up.
And he stands back up. Fortunately, if you did take multiple of them, only one can stand back up per battle round.
Right. Okay.
They
cool.
couldn't all stand back up.
Right. Plaguecaster. We've spoken a lot about him. The Blightbringer, we've already spoke about him with the extra inches to your move, advance in charge. The Foul Blightspawn gives your unit fights first.
Once per game.
Once per game, okay, cool. And they cannot start and end an advanced move within 9, so it sort of slows down your enemy a little bit there as well.
Yes.
The Putrefier, that's the one that gives you crits on 5s, lethal, yeah. And the first time this model's unit destroys an enemy unit, add 6 to the control characteristic of this model. Why not?
Sure.
Great. Have a bit of extra 6 OC. Cool. He's also got a blast gun as well, which is strength 7 -1, 2 damage with his grenade launchers. Right. The Tallymand, roll a 7 on 2 dice. You get an extra CP. And you ignore all weapon skill, ballistic skill, hit roll modifiers. That's okay, but having the extra CP is really nice. And you could just have him on your backfield by himself, holding your home field objective, generating you CPs for you.
Yeah. Just counting for you.
Yeah, and that is a way then to use some of those crazy combos we spoke about earlier, which you got a 2 CP and a 1 CP. Okay, Plague Surgeon, destroyed a model.
So he can get crit 5s on his own weapons.
Right.
When he picks an enemy unit that is within engagement range of him.
Okay.
He's only got 4 attacks, but if you do attach him with something that gets sustained hits, like the Plaguecaster, which you can do, then he would get sustained and lethal on 5s.
Right.
Which is not bad.
Otherwise, if they're below half strength, there's a critical hit of a 4.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's all right. Poxwalkers we spoke about. Icon Bearer. I think he's kind of lost some visibilities. I think it's kind of mixed between him and the Lord of Poxes, but basically adds +1 to the OC, and also you can unbattleshock a unit within 12. I think he's less relevant now compared to the Lord of Poxes that we've obviously seen earlier.
Did we mention that the Poxwalkers have infiltrate?
Infiltrating Poxwalkers, that's horrible.
The entire detachment of Poxwalkers.
Now, luckily they're not battle line.
No.
Are they battle line in the detachment of... Yes.
Oh, God.
So, in the Shamblerot, Poxwalkers are battle lines. You can take up to 60 infiltrating Poxwalkers.
Allying some Nurglings.
Remember though, it doesn't look like if you attach any of those characters, you'd obviously lose infiltrate because none of them have that wording which says when joining this unit, you also gain infiltrate. Like, for example, some of the sisters characters do, for example. So that is one thing, at least. If you did have all load of attached units, at least they're not getting infiltrate. But you're definitely putting 10 in your list. Every single Death Guard unit I can see having 10 just to have infiltrate. Yeah,
and that Poxwalker detachment, 54 Nurglings, however many Poxwalkers you want to put in no man's land, and sit there. Great.
Right, Plague Marines. You can take units of different combinations.
You can take 7, yeah.
Yeah. It's strange, though, because in the data sheet it says unit composition 1, and then it says 4 to 9. But at the back, you can take units of 7.
That's right, yeah.
So
they come in boxes of 7.
I would always go with what the MFM says.
Yes.
But it's all written in the way that you take basically 5 or more.
Yeah.
In terms of all your duplicates on your weapon profiles. Yeah. And we've already spoke about that. They afflict units, Blightlord Terminators, we've spoke about them when they have to have, if this unit is a starting strength for 5 or a character is leading them, they get that ability for the +1 strength and AP. They're great now as well, aren't they? Like the bubonic blades are now damage 2.
Yes, massive.
Because I think they were only damage 1 before, weren't they?
Yeah.
So the strength 5, AP 2 damage. And of course, obviously, I say of course, obviously, it's not obvious because it's only the ranged attacks that gets the +1 strength and armor penetration. It's not going to affect your combat attacks.
No, sadly not.
At least that's something if you're playing against Death Guard. But yeah, their combi weapons, go into AP2 with Dev Wounds, Rapid Fire, Anti-Infantry 4+, or just the combi bolter. It's just whatever you want is just good.
It's just very good.
Take all the best weapons you can. Yeah, you got lots of good options there. Death Shroud Terminators, we spoke a lot about. They've lost the -1 to wound, is that right?
They have, yes.
Now character models that join just get a 4+ feel no pain.
But it's okay, guys. They're T7 now.
Yeah.
Calm down. -1 to wound was good, but
T7's probably
T7's
just as
better.
good. Yeah. Okay, cool. And again, you can have one of those Icon of Despairs, the Hellbrute. When you make an attack against an afflicted unit, you get +1 to the wound roll. So he no longer shoots an afflicts unit, does he? That's been moved over to the Plague Marines.
Exactly that.
Yeah. Which I think is probably better.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Spawn. Great. What happens here?
Okay, so if you hit spawn,
they're
going to roll dice for each of the attacks that have been allocated to them.
Okay.
And then on a 4-up, to a maximum of 6 dice per attacking unit, on a 4-up, they do a mortal wound back.
Right.
It's like a grenade strat if you hit them.
And they get Feel No Pain and Scout.
Yeah.
And they move 8.
And they move 8.
Great little mission playing unit here, I think. Yeah. A couple of units of those I can see. Right, the Malefic Blight Haulers.
Yeah, these are kind of your tank hunters. In fact, their rule is tank hunters. They get +1 to hit and wound against monsters or vehicles.
Nice.
You get missile launcher and a multi-mower.
Cool. That's really effective for them. I think it's really, really good. The Floated Bloat Drone.
So these can have like your flesh mowers. So these are sort of combat. They can fall back, shoot, and charge. One of the only instances, actually, I think, in the book where they can fall back, shoot, and do whatever they want.
Yeah.
So a great sort of tactical piece.
The Floated Bloat Drone with Heavy Blight Launcher. This was the one you were talking about, wasn't it?
This is cooking.
So it's a blast weapon. It's lethal. It's range 36, D6 +2 attack, hit on a 3, strength 10, AP 2, flat 3 damage.
My God.
And then what else?
Explosive Blight. So in your shooting phase, each time you make an attack that destroys an enemy unit, and they will probably destroy something, before you remove the last model from the unit, you roll a d6, you add 1 if that unit is afflicted.
Right.
Each enemy unit within 6 inches of that model is now afflicted till the start of your next turn.
Gross.
So don't group up against Death Guard.
No.
Obviously, you probably won't have a choice, so it doesn't matter. But
wow.
And it's not an individual roll per unit. It's just on a 4 everybody's afflicted within 6. 3 of these. Very good.
So you could do that 3 times, right?
Yeah.
If you had 3.
If you killed 3 different units, yeah. You do have to kill a unit to do it. That's the only downside, but they're very powerful.
Right, yeah. Explosive Blight, yeah. Had too much protein, obviously.
Lord of Virulence. Look at something. Reroll the number of shots you've got.
Reroll the number of wounds you got.
Reroll your hits.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. Right, Plague Burst Crawler.
Okay, so not a huge amount has changed here. You've got the indirect weapon that is strength 8, AP 1, 2 damage. Yeah. It's the ability that's different now. So in your shooting phase, each time you select a target for this model's Plague Burst Mortar, before you roll all of the attacks, you roll a d6 for the target and every other enemy unit within 3 inches of the target. You add 1 if the unit that you're rolling for is afflicted. On a 6+, the unit you're rolling for suffers D3 mortal wounds after you've rolled all of your attacks.
Right, yeah.
So you roll first to see if they're going to take the mortal wounds, but then you do the mortal wounds after you've done all your attacks.
Yeah, nice. Right, the Chaos Predator Annihilator. In your shooting phase, after you've shot, select 1 enemy monster or vehicle hit by those attacks, roll a d6, adding 1 to the result if it's afflicted, 5+, some extra mortal wounds. So maybe you didn't quite finish that unit off. I don't think this is maybe as good as some other Predator rules. I think I'd prefer the rerolls, but because it's only on a 4-up as well, you get your ability. I think it's less useful.
Yeah, agreed.
But the Predator Destructor. Right, okay. So in your shooting phase, after you've shot, select any one unit, excluding monsters and vehicles. Okay, so there is some sort of exclusion here. Yep. It's not quite Castigator level of good, but it's still pretty good, and you increase the armor penetration by 1.
Cool.
That's good. End of the phase, so it will only work in the shooting phase. It's not like a stackable thing you could, have going into combat as well, right?
Yeah. Then it only affects Death Guard units attacking the enemy, so it wouldn't work for allies like Brigands or whatever, War Dogs.
No, but your Predators do get lethal hits.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Because the Annihilator doesn't get lethal hits on the las cannons or the... No las cannons have the lethal hits, but the Predator auto cannons do. Yeah. And also the heavy bolters get them as well.
Yeah, nice.
I mean, I think that's really decent, having sustained and lethal on your heavy bolters.
Yeah, that's good.
Gives you maybe a bit more reason to take them just the 2 las cannons.
Yeah.
Would you take a Defiler?
I just think the model's too difficult to use on the tabletop.
Yeah.
But with some of the combos, if you are going vehicle heavy, it does have a battle cannon, which is D6 plus 3 shots at strength 10, AP 1, 3 damage.
Right.
Which is nice to combo with the extra AP.
Lethal.
The
as well.
problem is you probably just take the heavy blight launcher Plague Drones because they're so strong. This guy does strip cover off the enemy though, if you did really want that.
You could take this in the Mortarions Hammer detachment, the vehicle one, and he would be able to walk through walls and charge through them.
Okay, that's not bad.
Not the worst thing in the world.
It's not the worst thing in the
Strength
world.
16, -3, D6 plus 1 damage in combat, plus some extra attacks. I don't know what his points are, but you might chuck him in as a lol.
Maybe.
Yeah. Anyway, the Land Raider.
Just a Land Raider. Lethal hits on the heavy bolters and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Nothing.
Other than
And
that.
obviously you can charge after you've made a normal move. Rhino. This is at a glow up. Because I can just instantly say it doesn't repair a wound, so anything's better than that. But even just extra words is better than that. So in your shooting phase, after you've shot, select one enemy unit hit by one or more attacks until the end of that phase. Each time a friendly model that disembarked from this transport makes an attack, you can re-roll the wound roll.
Cool. Plague Marines, reroll your wounds. Excellent stuff.
That is so good.
It's so good. It's just getting reroll wounds. Granted, it's not the most shooty of units, and you probably take a lot of heavy plague weapons, but it's just such convenience for improving your efficiency.
Well, it's just good on your playcasters getting out.
Yeah, that's true. And they've got dev wounds, right?
Yeah. That's great on them.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
Because you could just have little teams of like 5 plagues with some, flamery options or whatever best ranged options there are. Then the playcaster gets out and just goes, cool, real wounds. Yep. So, little MSUs of those.
Absolutely.
Slowing down their movement, getting the rerolls. You make a unit become incredibly efficient straight away. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
On the Land Raider note, it is capacity 14.
Right, okay.
So that is an improvement. So you can take a character plus 6 Terminators.
Oh, that is good, yeah. And obviously Blight Lords now, you can actually take in 3s, 5s, or 10s, right?
Yes.
3, 5s, or 10s, yeah. So, yeah, it's pretty good. All right. You got the fortification. You can't set up within 12 of it.
That's not bad.
No, that's not bad at all.
Look, if you're in a world where there's a lot of deep strike threats,
Yep.
this is obviously points dependent.
Yeah, sure.
This is pretty good. And fortifications can only be deployed in your deployment zone.
Yeah.
And obviously they don't move. So this is just a great way of screening an area of the deployment zone.
Just have a Tallymand to give you your CPs, and then the, whatever this is, Miasmic
Malignifier, yeah.
Yeah, so at the back of the Codex, the points are, okay, it's 105 points.
Okay, a difficult justification, but
Yeah,
perhaps there's a world.
maybe. And you also, like, what's the point in shooting it? That's the weird thing.
Mm.
You don't get any points for it, so it's just like, oh, do I really want to shoot it? Could just stand that in the open, being toughness 10 and annoying with 12 wounds for 105 points. If it keeps your Tallymand safe, I don't know. Right, Rotigus, any changes on him?
So he's the same as you'll find in the Demons book.
Okay, cool.
But in terms of potential synergies, so he does make other Plague Legions hit a bit harder, +1 damage.
Okay.
But he does also makes enemy units within 6 -2 move and -1 OC.
Right.
So you could combine that with the Affliction for -1 move and -1 OC.
So you could take Custodes, which are maybe even OC3 down to OC1.
OC1, yeah. There's no limit on the OC that he reduces it to either. So you could be OC1 near him, you're OC0.
Is that how that would work?
Yeah, it wouldn't. However, the Affliction would cap it at 1, but
Right.
he himself would make it OC0. But obviously, in the Plague Legions detachment, you can make OC3 models OC1
Yeah.
and -3 to people's move.
Wow. Great and clean one, +1 toughness to your units.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That obviously the Plague Legion.
-1 toughness to your opponent within 12 as well.
Beast of Burgles are still the same.
Beasts of Burgle, still the same.
Just heal constantly.
You can make enemy units -2 toughness with a great and clean one.
Great. Brilliant. I mean, okay, so overall, what do we think?
Oh, I think this is great. People, Death Guard players rejoice. There's so many options for play, and you could play this book for years and just jump through each of the different detachments.
Yeah.
And you'd have a load of fun doing it.
I think when I first read it, I thought, well, the best detachment's the first one. after sitting down today, going over some of the combos, looking at the champions detachment, that looks really good. I could see myself playing that detachment. It's not much faster. It doesn't really have the speed element, but do you really want to be speedy? I don't know. I know there's been a lot of like criticism of, not having that kind of the feel no pain of years gone, the -1 damages of years gone. The +1 toughness, though, it was already stepped up.
Yes.
From like previous editions to 10th editions, I believe. And then it's been now stepped up one more. I do hope that feels like for Death Guard players like a resilient level.
Yeah.
It's probably not one of the worst interactions in the game. I really hate half damage is an interaction. It really feels like your unit that you've paid for is just not effective. You may as well not have it sometimes. Yeah. So I'm glad they haven't gone down that route. And I am glad to see more of this kind of extra toughness steps in using toughness and saves and all the rest of it to kind of combine those effects in. I don't know. I really hope the Death Guard community do look at that as a positive.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of plays in here. I'm excited to see what, for example, like Dave and Aiden do when we do and we're going to be running as well. I'm not sure when this video is going to be released, but we would have done or doing a whole day of Death Guard gaming. Okay.
Yeah. With Death Guard experts.
Like Aiden's like the #1 player in the world. Dave has named himself after the faction, so he must be good. But we've seen Dave on the channel before, and he's an absolute gem. We've also got Ben Jones coming as well, who's as it stands, I think #2 in the world, ranked player. So we've got some great players playing some great armies. It's going to be good to see what Death Guard can do in a showcase games. We're not necessarily saying these are the most competitive lists. We just want to showcase what the army can do. And of course, we're going to be having Dave and Aiden both do the masterclass or the how to play Death Guard series, and it's a great way to learn more about the strengths of the detachment, what it can really offer you as a player. But also, if you're going up against Death Guard quite a lot, maybe your friend plays Death Guard, get that course. The links will be below, because what that will allow you to do, as soon as it's edited and out for release for you, you'll be able to digest all that and understand, so you don't get gotcha momented. You can try to learn all the different overlapping abilities to help you as an opponent as well, explain that to your people that you play against. So check out that. We'll have loads of members content. We'll do some fun stuff, like we'll do a ranked tier list on things. So we've got loads of good things to come. But I'm excited to see them on the table. Yeah, same here. Right, guys, hope you've enjoyed that. Let us know the combo that you're most excited about. Put it below, whether it's a unit, a stratagem, enhancement, a leader. What's the thing that's sticking out for you that you love most? Love to hear out your thoughts. Until the next time, take care, and we'll see you soon.